Yeah, let's start our Cavaliers talk. We're going to spend a ton of time, not just on YouTube today talking Cavs Warriors, but also in our WKYC show talking about the Cavs Warriors. We usually spend that half hour on KYC previewing the Browns game, but the Cavs Warriors takes precedent. Plus, the Browns are on a bye, which helps. So make sure you guys stay tuned. We'll get you covered and primed to know everything you need to know for tonight's matchup. But we'll start with a quick word from FanDuel. Get ready to tackle all the NFL and NBA action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Jason, you are the Cavs aficionado. You have been covering the Cavs for over a decade. You know more about the regular season and what happens with the Cavs than almost anybody. Is tonight's regular season contest against the Warriors the most anticipated regular season matchup for Cleveland since when?
You know I'm dead inside, so I have a hard time getting excited about, like, it's the biggest regular season. It's a Western Conference team. It's November. It's going to be fun. Like, it's going to be a great environment. It's going to be sold out. The place will be rocking. It always is. It'll be a great game. But it's hard for me to say this is the most important or the biggest regular season game since. But I'll play along. When I saw Mike's question, the first thought that came to my mind was Cavs Warriors on Christmas Day in 2017, the year after the Cavs won the championship. That was an unbelievable game. Unbelievable game. And Kyrie taking Clay one-on-one, hits the shot to win the game. That was just a great environment. It was a great game. And I'm sure that there have been other big regular season games since then, but it's hard because the championship window teams didn't care about the regular season.
That's right.
They just didn't care.
It almost didn't feel like we would wait the whole season. It was to the point really where even the first couple of rounds of the playoffs, you were like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know they were going to keep winning.
They just smacked everybody.
Right.
And they just didn't. LeBron never prioritized the regular season, so nobody else did either. He always said, just get me in. I don't care, just get me in.
Yeah.
And they played like it. So it's hard to say that any regular season game was huge then. And now when you look back since they've rebuilt this thing, am I missing one? Was there a really big game that you guys the last year or two?
No, this is definitely it.
So I mean, and again, so like, because we live in the moment so much, when here's like sort of my measuring stick. When we get to March and April, are we going to be talking about, remember that Cavs Warriors game in November?
No.
Unless it depends on how it goes.
Unless it's somehow some historic game for some reason.
So I guess the answer is maybe, but it's just hard for me right now because they're not even a conference. We only see them twice. They only come here once. And we'll get into sort of the rivalry stuff in a little bit. So, and I don't want to like piss all over the game because I think it's going to be a great game. And it's a fun environment and it's a Friday night. So that's even better. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But when you're talking about like significance and importance, it's still November. It's really more of a 9-0 versus. And by the way, the Warriors' first real test was just the other night in Boston. They really hadn't played anyone before that, and they won. It was a good win for them.
No, I don't even think this Cavs team has enough cachet where you can start even counting regular season games like that. Like the reason why we was counting regular season games when LeBron was here is it's LeBron. You just won a championship. It was against the Warriors in a comeback from behind fashion. It was the game in 2016 for them to win it was dramatic. It was a crazy game. It had all of the stuff, and it had all of the marquee names. Like it was an arms race. You had the Kyries and LeBrons, and then Steph Curry and them had one NBA record game for during their year, and then you come back the next year and they get Kevin Durant. So no, the Cavs with this roster haven't built enough cachet to where it's like they still doing goodwill. They still doing outreach. Like people now are starting to come around and like, oh, Cavs is pretty good. They're trying to build that mojo up a little bit where people are starting to tune in a little bit more.
I can tell you they have the attention of the rest of the league.
Yeah.
Like,
now
within the league,
and in
there
the league,
are a lot of people paying attention to what's happening.
And in the media and around the league, there are a lot of people there's more and more people that got names that know what they talking about that are like, hey, listen, this ain't no fluke. don't get it twisted. These dudes is different. It's nice.
I've heard from a couple different teams over the last week of like, they're legit.
Yeah.
They're legit.
There's a few things at play here. And it's amazing that I have this take because I have been more anti-regular season NBA than even Jason, who's dead inside, as we know.
Totally dead.
but
You have to
I-
cut me open.
Yeah.
there's nothing
But
that's
I kind of don't understand that, Bull,
Yeah.
because you watch 1,000 baseball games.
Right.
1,000 of them.
Yeah.
And you can find meaning within those games, but basketball season is shorter.
Well, for two things. First of all, I'm making the point that I have flip-flopped now.
Okay.
But
all right.
here's the thing. Even though I still think the regular season means the biggest difference, though, between why baseball regular season matters and basketball doesn't is because in baseball, only 6 teams out of 15 make the playoffs. In basketball, 10 out of 15. That difference is huge. Yeah. We knew when the season started that the Cavs were going to make the playoffs. Right? 99.9% chance.
If
We
they're
didn't know
healthy,
that.
if they stay healthy.
Yeah.
Right. But even if they were, last year they got injured, they still made the playoffs
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
Whereas we don't know that with the Guardians ever.
Right.
You never know if they're going to make the playoffs or not, no matter how good you think they are.
That's fair.
But I feel like you guys are slow playing this game a little bit. First of all, part of the problem is Mike asked a question that made no sense. Mike started the question by saying, is this the most important game in the regular season since when? That doesn't even make sense. That makes no sense, that question. Go back and listen to what you said.
Let me ask the question again.
Yeah.
Bull,
Yes.
is this the most anticipated regular season game the Cleveland Cavaliers have played in the post-LeBron James era?
Of course it is, by far. Yes, it is, because there's a couple of reasons why. I've said this a number of times recently. There is something special about a winning streak. And a winning streak creates a buzz from people that are not diehard fans of that sport. It happened with the Guardians or the Indians at the time when they won 20 in a row in 2017. That was crazy. Everybody was into baseball there for a couple of weeks, even the most casual fan, because it was very noticeable. There's something even more special about a winning streak to start the season. The fact that you have 0 in the loss column still when we're, how long are we into the season? 3 weeks?
2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks. That creates an extra buzz, okay? Here's another thing specific for the Cavs. If you're a Cavaliers fan and you're 40 or younger, maybe a little younger than that, but I'll say 40 or younger, you have pretty much started every Cavs season one or two ways. When LeBron was here, I expect to go to the finals. When LeBron's not here, we're not doing anything. That's basically been the case since the last time you thought the Cavs could maybe win a title, but it wasn't a sure thing that they would get to the finals, was Daugherty, Price, Nance.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's 30 years ago.
More than that.
More than that.
That's also the last time they had 4 players who averaged 15 points a game or
there you
more,
go.
which is what they're currently
And
doing
those
now.
were really good teams. You thought, could they could possibly get to the finals. Yeah, you got to deal with Michael, and obviously, but they came close. And if they had beaten the Bulls, you never know. But so those were teams where you went into the season with some level of anxiety. Whereas Cavs fans for the last 30-plus years, it's either been, well, we got LeBron, so we know we're going to go deep into the playoffs, almost, especially when he came back the second time, and especially after you'd been in the league a couple of years. And every other year, it's like there was no chance. Even last year, when they were pretty good. Yeah, you never thought they were going to win the NBA title. It wasn't like a realistic thought. Now, maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe, I don't know. By the time we get to the playoffs, maybe it won't be realistic. Maybe things will change. But right now, the Cavs look like a team that could win the NBA title,
Absolutely.
but it's certainly not a sure thing.
Absolutely.
Right? And we just haven't had that experience very often.
The reason why this ain't the game, and I'm not saying it can't,
Yeah.
this ain't the game we should be talking about. The game that matters in the context of what you're saying is the first game against the Celtics.
Boom.
Right, but that's not here yet.
And the second, and,
And
the
the
third,
third.
and the
Right.
fourth.
But when we get to that Boston game, which is 11 days from now, I
Right.
believe, that will now become the biggest game since blah, 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 blah.
See, here's the thing. Even if you say, for instance, you come out here and lose this game, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you lost to the Warriors. They're in the West. You only play them twice a year.
Yep.
But when you get to the Celtics, even you lost, That's the measuring stick.
I agree.
That's where you
You're
got to
right.
get through.
And if they look good against the Celtics, then people are gonna sit up and say, "Oh, okay, they're not playing around now because they just beat the team that you got to go through."
Right, but for tonight,
For tonight,
the atmosphere in that arena is
It's
going to
gonna
be
fantastic.
It'll be
Like, I was
nice win.
texting Jason and Mike last night, hey, can you get me tickets? Blah, blah, blah. Both of them are
I was like,
useless,
yeah.
no tickets. Like, there's a palpable buzz.
You try to sneak to the game without me. You was piggybacking the tickets when I went on them yesterday. Now you gonna sneak and try to get tickets on your own.
I have no idea. I didn't even know you were trying to get tickets yesterday.
Mikey was supposed to get us front row seats.
Yeah, what happened?
Listen,
Not
I told you
tonight's
late
game.
in the season, a meaningless game, not a Friday night Warriors one trip from Steph Curry.
Hey, listen, I'm trying to get some of that Emerson money. I know
Yeah,
you know a
I think-
film director somewhere.
That Emerson money does not exist. Let's be very clear.
connection.
I went into TV journalism. Money was not.
Where's
the
the
reason.
Emerson connection? I
Them
know you guys
connects,
are all
man.
over the NBA. Where is the
I
hookup?
know you got a film guy, a reserve,
Not on Golden
JV,
State, unfortunately.
basketball dude somewhere. I know.
Yeah.
We're going to wait it out. We're going to wait. We're going to get it there.
I want to make it happen later in the year, but tonight's not the night that.
I mean, how are you going to make it happen? If they're this good all season, then every
It's gonna be
game's
a
going to be a
random
hot
Thursday
ticket.
night game
Yes.
against
Yes.
the tanking Nets that.
Correct.
But me and Bull
Pistons.
is trying to go up top though.
Yeah.
We want our feet on the wood.
A foot on the
Pause.
wood? You want a foot on the wood?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what. Look, Jason Lloyd just on him. You know, Jason Lloyd's eyes is already small. His eye. He almost went to sleep. He said on the wood.
I sat on the
My eyes disappear when I smile.
I had my feet on the wood one time.
Oh,
Kevin Love almost fell in my lap in that
this
game.
is crazy.
It's an otherworldly.
And it was a pretty amazing experience.
That's what-
I did not pay for those tickets.
That's what we want. Hey, listen, I'm willing.
Yeah.
I'm willing to dip into my Christmas funds for this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing. I'm not a cheap dude. Look, you know what I'm
Wait,
saying?
G, idea.
I
Is
got.
there better promotion for UCSS than if Steve Becker were to buy courtside seats for everybody?
Let's go, Steve.
All wearing UCSS shirts in the front row where they have to put us on.
That's crazy. Together as
Steve.
one.
Steve, get on.
I'm pretty sure if I showed up on the front row, they would take me out like Hannibal Lecter
oh yeah.
on
We
a
want-
two-wheeler.
Hey, Charles Oakley.
Can you imagine if we sitting all one by one and we got UCSS shirts on? That's crazy.
Promotion, Steve.
Let's go, Steve.
And we didn't have a promotion in the budget this year, so our
get it
marketing
together.
budget for 2025 just courtside seats to every game.
That's right.
Steve, easy.
They
It's
used
cheap.
to, a lot of the arenas used to put the media courtside. There's nothing like it. Not anymore. Now
Oh,
they kick
yeah,
us out
yeah.
and put us up high and they
Yeah,
sell
yeah.
those because they realize how much money they can make off of them.
Oh yeah.
It is you understand the game at a completely different level. You hear
it's
all the
wild.
interactions between the coaches. You hear them yelling at the officials. Like there's still probably, I mean, I haven't traveled forever. There's probably 4 or 5 arenas that still put you courtside,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, when I used to
The
do,
Magic do.
I mean, it was Division III college, but when I would do games in college, we'd sit on the court.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Although one time we were playing, I was calling a game, a Division III game. It was so in Division III. Mike, you guys did this? The women and the men travel together, right? Most of the time.
Sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah. A
Enough,
lot of times in Division III, especially conference games, the women and men travel together. The women's game will be at 6. The men's game will be at 8, right? And so when I was in college, I was doing play-by-play for the women's game, and then I would be the analyst for the men's game, and vice versa with the guy I was working with. So we're calling a game. I think it was, I don't even remember what school it was at, but there's one school we had to sit behind the basket, like on a little perch right
Yeah.
behind the basket.
Yeah.
And a guy on our team, we're down by 2. The buzzer's about to go off, end of the game. Guy on our team shoots a 3. It's an air ball. My partner, though, didn't realize. He thought it was nothing but net.
Oh.
And he goes, and the Golden Eagles win it. The Golden Eagles win it. And I'm like, that was bad. All right, Mike, go ahead.
Real quick on the most anticipated matchup, and then we'll get into some other facets of tonight's game to dig into. We're going to talk the bench. We're going to talk best players. We're going to talk rivalry.
All right, let's get to it. Stop telling us what we're going to talk about and talk about it.
For tonight in particular,
All right, Mike.
in terms of anticipation
Yeah.
and what to expect, I do feel like, and I don't have every post-LeBron era regular season game like to draw back on. This one feels like the Cavs, to Jason's point, in league circles, like inside the NBA, people are taking notice what the Cavs have done. From the national coverage perspective, they're getting mentioned, but they're still not A-block stories yet.
Well, they're still 8th in as of yesterday. They still only had the 8th best odds to win the NBA title.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
I think tonight, part of the anticipation is if the Cavs can improve to 10-0 and beat the Warriors, and even though it's not an ESPN game or a TNT game, everyone's going to be watching this game. They're going to have a chance to kind of go from the proverbial best secret in the NBA to we can't ignore this anymore. And that's part of the anticipation in this.
Why is this game not on ESPN, by the way?
I just don't.
They don't flex early season games.
I don't think the Warriors are that good though.
I mean,
They've had one test.
No. Yeah,
they've had one test.
Listen, let's not act like the Warriors was making noise in the West.
But, well, I mean, I'll give them credit for this. They have transformed their franchise, and they never really lost a beat.
No.
Like when you lose Clay, Draymond is not. He's still a good player. He's not what he was.
Yeah, he's not. Like,
And they botched all their draft picks.
Yeah, I mean, they blew the Wiseman pick.
Crazy.
Think about that. Like, they had number 2 pick.
Crazy.
Blew it.
Right.
And in the draft,
Jordan Poole
they
gave
took
him a bag of money.
They took Moody and Kuminga, who they're both rotation guys. They play, but like there were some other really good players who they could have drafted in those spots who they did not take.
Buddy Hield's been great for them. They were able to. They did some maneuverings to get Wiggins, like the D'Angelo Russell stopover, and Chris Paul with a brief time there, and they were able to get into Wiggins and Hield. Hield's been terrific for them.
He's been incredible.
And they've been able to just keep this thing going.
Yeah.
And that's a credit to. And they even changed over the front office. Like Bob Myers left, and they're still rolling.
How's Clay doing in Dallas, by the way?
Not as good as Buddy Hield.
I mean, Buddy Hield's playing out of his mind.
I mean,
He's the best basketball of his career.
If I look at it, roster for roster, I like the Cavs roster better.